Autoimmune disease is a wake-up call. It is not a life sentence. I personally struggled with fibromyalgia for a number of years. I beat it. I'm going to share my experiences in this video. First, let me say I'm not a medical doctor. It's not medical advice. It's based on my experiences for informational and educational purposes only. So how is autoimmune disease not a lifelong condition? Well, if you understand that autoimmune disease is caused by your mast cells, who are your major immune cell that tells all the other immune cells what to do, then you could start to actually make changes in your life to overcome autoimmune disease. The mast cells are affected by various things that you do. They're affected by your perception. They're affected by your thoughts. They're affected by stress. They're affected by, the perception of danger, fear, things like that. But they're also affected by what we eat, what we inhale, what we do. So I'm going to go through these things and explain why you can overcome autoimmunity if you just make the right choices consistently. It's not out of your control. I beat fibromyalgia myself. I went through it for several years until I finally understood the things I'm going to share in this video. So number one, the most important thing is you got to believe that you could beat autoimmune disease. If you don't believe that you're going to beat it, then you're not going to have the ability to beat it. All right. They've shown that your belief dictates your physiology and your biology in your body. If you don't believe that you can overcome this thing and that it's this chronic illness you have for the rest of your life, then you will have a chronic illness the rest of your life. The next thing beyond that is you got to make sure you're not living ahead of time in fear, in a state of threat, or concerned about what's going to happen next. Because if you do, then you're going to be constantly in a state of fight or flight. If your nervous system is constantly activated, you're not able to rest, you're not able to move through, some of these thought loops, and you're going to be stuck in a chronic state of activation, okay? To be able to get yourself out of the current activated state that you're already in, you got to start doing slow, deep breathing, meditation, breath work, slow, deep breathing through the nose, in and out. Have each breath take about 20 seconds or so. Keep repeating this over and over and over again until you get calm. Sometimes it may take 20, 25 minutes to really get in that ultra relaxed state. Be patient. Train your brain to slow down. Train your brain to just focus on the breath. You got to be able to get control of your thoughts. If you can't control your thoughts, you're not going to be able to control your symptoms, okay? So outside of the nervous system, we got what we're eating. Or if we're eating eggs, dairy, gluten, processed food, too much meat, nuts and seeds, flavoring, additives, preservatives in our diet, guess what? We're going to end up being symptomatic because these things cause mast cells to activate. And when they activate, they secrete out histamine, other inflammatory molecules, and this makes your autoimmune symptoms flare up. This is what causes the autoimmune symptoms, is the mast cell activation. So if you're eating things that trigger you, you're doing the dairy, the eggs, gluten, nuts, seeds, all that stuff, and you're doing it 3-4 times a day, then guess what? You're causing your own autoimmune symptoms because you're more than likely not breaking down these foods well. Little bits of them are leaking through the gut into the bloodstream because you have leaky gut, which goes on along with autoimmune. And that's how it works with the food. The last thing I want to talk about is what you inhale. Autoimmune disease, the majority of the time, there's an environmental issue at the home, okay? This could be mycotoxins, most of the time, mold, black mold, water damage, things in the past of the home that you probably didn't even know about. These things can cause significant issues with the mast cells. And the mast cells, once again, they're responsible for your autoimmune symptoms. So the main things you want to look out for, you got to look out for the nervous system triggers. You got to look out for the food triggers. You got to look out for the environmental triggers. These things all are the most important. But when you combine the removal of these triggers with the right supplements, excuse me, the right plant-based supplements, meditation, the right behaviors, etc., you can overcome autoimmune disease. Trust me, I went through it myself, and you can beat it. You just got to remove the triggers, start replacing the key plant-based nutrients, and at the end of the day, it just takes time. Mast cells recondition themselves. They stop being triggered. They stop producing those inflammatory symptoms, and gradually the severity of your symptoms just gets less and less over time. This has been my experience. So if you want to learn more, go to my website, endsickness.org. I got hundreds of articles, hundreds of videos on there teaching you how to heal yourself. Take care.